Hello, friends, and welcome back to r/ProRevenge. Imagine if a simple Facebook review could solve your garden repair problem. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Please change your Facebook review to a positive one. Okay. A few years ago, I bought a new shed/sunroof combination for my garden. It was pretty expensive, and thus I also paid for the company to build it. Knowing me, I would mess it up, so I was happy to pay for a professional to come fix that for me. The shed has a roof with a bitumen topping. It looks like a very thick sandpaper. The professional builder tacked it in place, and that was that. I asked him if no glue would be needed to keep it in place, but obviously I know nothing, and that was a dumb question. Lo and behold, 6 weeks later, a mild storm blew off the entire bitumen topping of the roof. I called the company only to be told I should have known this would be a temporary roof and these need to be changed like every year. Can you smell the BS? I replied, it's only been 6 weeks. You need to come fix this. Nope, a storm was the reason for the damage. Act of God, no help from them. Well, okay, they promised to send a new roll of bitumen so I could replace it myself. I waited, no bitumen. I went to their Facebook page to find lots of people complaining about similar stuff. I wrote a review warning people not to buy their expensive sheds as they get built wrong and any damage resulting from this does not get resolved by them whatsoever. Mind you, this shed was over €1,000. A half hour later, I get a phone call from said company. They tell me they'll come the next day to put on expensive shingles to make up for the damage at their own cost, but I do have to change my review. I waited for them to come fix it, and they held to their promise. So I did. I wrote on their page how they came and fixed my roof, even exchanged the material for a much more expensive solution the very next day at their own cost. Needless to say, this caused a crap storm of customers demanding the same solution. You're welcome, a-holes. And yes, they came to fix the roof. They were probably expecting it, though. After very likely firing some people and blacklisting a contractor, they asked the review to be changed, not removed. And our second story. Deal with the IRS backstabbing B. I had this very close friend, let's call her BSB, backstabbing B, who was talking so much crap behind my back without me ever knowing. I always had doubts that something was fishy, but I was not able to prove it. One day, a random guy who was a closer friend to me sent all the text BSB sent him. She was saying stuff like, I was trash, not good enough to be a friend with her, she was 22, and that I was fired. BSB said all these things without ever telling me that there was a problem between us, so I had no idea what was going on. I confronted BSB by showing her the messages. Maybe I was a fool, but I was expecting explanations or apologies. It got bad. Instead of taking the blame, BSB said my life was over because there were rumors that a guy leaked nudes of me. All this was my fault and I should move out of town, dye my hair, etc. I replied saying that I would have told her and defended her if something like that had happened to her. I ended the friendship there. They have a family business and I used to help them with some work they couldn't do themselves. I was pretty much the only person in the area to do my job, so they were not in a good situation. Her mother called me a few times saying she needed some help, but I was not changing my mind. It was a no for me. I waited for a year. I waited for apologies, but they never came. Out of the blue, BSB sent me a Facebook link about soap making, because I like soaps. Like nothing happened between us. Maybe it was to remind herself that she never did anything wrong? I lost my crap right there. This is where the fun starts. Revenge is a dish best served cold. I used to help them with their family business for the past 8 years. I knew the details of how the business worked, and I knew pretty much everything on how they hid money from the IRS. I called the IRS and told them everything. I told them how they hid the money and where they could get all the proof of their real sales. Their real sales are around $30,000 a month, and they probably declare half that. When someone was paying them cash, they would duplicate the invoice, giving 2 invoices with the same number to different clients. The catch is, each item they sold had to be inspected by a professional. That professional also had to add a piece to the item before it was sent to the client. The IRS only has to ask for the invoice at that professional, and they have all the proof of BSB's real sale. They were also shipping every item under their care, and the buyer had to pay a $100 fee cash to the shipper. There are even details of it on their website. What a bunch of idiots. And our third story. Ex-landlord says he'll see me in court. I take him to court instead. Brief backstory. Couple years ago, I was in an apartment with my friend and younger sister. My sister was violent towards my friend and I ended up having to get a restraining order against her. She brought in a dog without permission, which caused some damage to the unit. I informed my landlord of the incidents of violence and the damage and sent him pictures. He basically told me to deal with it myself, which I did by getting the protective order. After this, my roommate questioned the legality of holding us responsible for her portion of the rent. I told her it was, but she asked our landlord for a copy of the lease to show her uncle anyway, which admittedly was pretty stupid. Up until this point, our landlord had not asked us to leave due to my sister's actions, but he did after the lease was brought into it. We were out by the date he specified on the notice to quit, the first step in the eviction process before the eviction actually occurs. My roommate was there until midnight, making sure the place was spotless. We moved to an apartment across the street. 2 weeks had passed since he was informed that we had vacated the unit, and we'd not gotten anything regarding our security deposit. In our state, a landlord is required by law to either return the remainder of a security deposit within 2 weeks or provide a letter itemizing what the deposit was used for. If they don't, the tenant is owed the entire deposit. If the withholding is willful, the tenant is owed double the original deposit. The landlord had actually told me that he would be going on vacation immediately after we vacated, so I returned our keys to him and waited to see if he would send anything. He never did. After consulting with the tenants' rights group to be sure I was in the right, I sent a pre-formatted letter 16 days after we vacated, which stated the specific laws regarding security deposits. We gave him our current address to send either the deposit or the receipt to. The day after I sent the letter, I see him across the street, frantically running into the apartment for the first time since we moved out. I received a text from him saying that he would return what's left of our deposit if he could get the apartment rented by the 1st of next month. I respond by telling him that, as the letter I sent explained, he forfeits the right to keep any of the deposit after 2 weeks is up. He responded saying that he would see us in court and that we were nightmare tenants, and that this will be fun. He said he would also be taking us to court for the cost to relist and rent the apartment, which he claimed exceeded the amount of our deposit. After about a month or two of hearing nothing back, we decided to say F it and file a small claims suit against him, as he clearly wasn't going to follow through on his threats. As the person who had almost all communication with him, I was the plaintiff in the case. He brought a letter that was dated for the day he texted me, where he arbitrarily wrote in what he used the deposit on and claimed he sent us the letter. That obviously didn't add up, which I thoroughly explained to the judge, as he had texted me that day saying that we would get some of the deposit returned and that he had no proof that he actually sent that letter. He clearly just wrote it and printed it out for the court hearing. During the court hearing, he also said a lot of false and victim-blaming crap, such as implying that I participated in the violence that occurred and saying that we caused damages that were definitely there when we moved in, and just attacking my character in general. The judge ruled that the withholding of the security deposit was willful and awarded us double the deposit, but of course that wasn't the end of it. A few days before his deadline to pay us the money, he sends me a text just letting me know that the decision has been appealed. I didn't answer and showed up to court again, and lo and behold, it's more mudslinging and arguing about things that we already established in the first hearing. The judge upheld the original decision, and he eventually mailed me the check for double the deposit. In the memo line of the check, where you can write the reason for the payment, he wrote, "For gaining 20 pounds. But hey, I cashed that check and spent my half on a new gaming laptop, so I'd say I got the last laugh. I desperately wanted to text him and ask him if it was as fun as he thought it would be, but I resisted the urge. And our last story. You run away to be with some guy you met on the internet? Okay. This happened a couple years back. I'll try to keep it as short as I can with as much detail as I can. I was married for 12 years. My wife was a wonderful person. We had many laughs together and many great times as well. She also happened to be full of crap. Between the years of 2004 and 2007, she had multiple affairs, including my daughter's first-grade teacher, the security guard in the building where she worked, the son of one of her friends. This went on for 3 years behind my back. I had no clue she was a cheating bee. During the summer of 2007, I discovered the affairs. I confronted her with it, and she didn't deny it. But instead of, taking responsibility for it, she told me she was running away to be with some dude she met on the internet. I thought she was joking and didn't take it seriously. The next morning, she was gone. Neither me nor my daughter saw her for a year and a half. It hurt her a lot because she really looked up to her mom. Finally, I got sick of hoping she would come back, and I filed for divorce on the grounds of abandonment. She eventually came back and tried to act like nothing had happened. Didn't matter because I got full custody. She also tried to sue me for alimony, but that failed miserably as well. The revenge? Letting her F herself over. She lost all her friends, is in a crap ton of debt, and her parents hate her. She works as a waitress at a restaurant and is living with random people off of CL. But what I know hurts her the most is my daughter, who's now 17, wants absolutely nothing to do with her. She got her visitation rights terminated by the courts, so she can't see her either. The most pro-revenge anyone could take is letting someone F themselves over. It's priceless. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.